We're following breaking news out of Kentucky. A jury has acquitted the former Louisville police officer connected to the botched police raid that killed Breonna Taylor.
The jury found Brett Hankison not guilty of wanton endangerment. Prosecutors say he fired several shots into the apartment of Taylor's neighbors during that botched police raid. A man, a pregnant woman, and her 5-year-old son lived next door. Hankison testified he fired to protect himself and his fellow officers. No one has been charged with Taylor's death. Joining me now with more is CBS News correspondent Jericka Duncan, who's been following this case. Hi, Jericka. So with the acquittal of Hankison, where does this leave the prosecution now? And of course, while this trial was not about Breonna Taylor, does this mean the case is essentially closed on her death?
It is closed in reference to the entire raid, as far as we know. We know that the DOJ is also looking into the practices of the police department because, as we've noted, this was a botched raid. There have been a lot of questions about why they went into this home, not 100% sure that the person they were actually looking for was there, because at the end of the day, Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were not at the subject of that drug raid. The person who is living, alive, and on probation, as a matter of fact. But as far as the wanton endangerment charge, I just wanted to break down what that is. It's defined as a person under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life who deliberately engages in conduct that creates a substantial danger or death or serious physical injury to another. As you mentioned, the 3 people who were in that apartment adjacent to Breonna Taylor's did not suffer any serious injury, did not suffer any death. But one of the people in that apartment, Cody Etherton, did testify that the bullet came within inches of his head. Again, the officer in this case, former officer Brett Hankison, testified that he essentially thought what he was doing was protecting those who he believed were shot at. There was 1 shot fired by Kenneth Walker, as we now know. He said he was doing it because he didn't know what was happening at that time. He fired 1 shot, police fired 32 shots. Breonna Taylor was killed. We have not heard from Breonna Taylor's family yet, but we expect to hear from them as they were present in the courtroom. We know that yesterday, after Hankison made those remarks saying that Breonna Taylor did not have to die, Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, walked out of the courtroom. They walked out today and they were shaking their head as the verdict was read. As for Brett Hankison, he was shaking, I think obviously nervous, knowing that his fate was in the hands of those jurors, but they found him again not guilty on all 3 charges.
Jericka, what do we think the likelihood is of Breonna Taylor's mother or family filing a civil suit against Hankison?
Well, you know, they did receive compensation from the city, $12 million. And the city passed the Breonna Taylor's law, which means they are no longer doing these no-knock warrants. As for what happens in civil litigation has yet to be determined. And then what will come out of that DOJ investigation to see who else is to blame in terms of the breakdown or not going through a process that you wonder could have been avoided. Something that struck me yesterday during testimony is Hankison making a point to say that there have been times where they don't go and serve a search warrant if there's a child present. Well, Breonna Taylor, as you guys know, was living with her sister and her son. There was a child there often in and out of that house. So the question becomes what type of surveillance was being done in the days before to ensure that the person that they were actually looking for was going to be there. But I think at this point, many of us are looking to see what happens, like you said, beyond just this case, but what the family has to say. This has been a really, really tough road for the family. They've had to endure sort of being the face of Breonna Taylor and keeping her memory alive. They had to sit through a trial where the person who maybe his bullets didn't directly hit her, but was a part of that raid, say she did not have to die. So this has been a really long road for them. And next weekend will mark 2 years since the death of Breonna Taylor.
Jericka Duncan, thank you so much for following this trial for us and for your excellent reporting. We appreciate it.
Thank you.